Deep beneath the rolling hills of Kentucky lies a tapestry of secrets that have puzzled archaeologists, historians, and conspiracy theorists for centuries. From mysterious stone chambers that predate Columbus by thousands of years, to underground tunnel networks that stretch for miles beneath our feet, the Bluegrass State harbors enigmas that challenge everything we think we know about ancient America. Tonight, we'll journey through time itself, exploring the shadowy corners of Kentucky's past, where fact blends with legend, and where each discovery raises more questions than it answers. Chapter 1. The Mammoth Cave Conspiracy. Mammoth Cave stretches over 400 meters of mapped passages, making it the world's longest known cave system. But here's what they don't tell you on the tourist brochures. Only a fraction of this vast underground network is open to the public. What lies in those restricted tunnels? Why are certain areas permanently sealed off from researchers and visitors alike? The official story begins around 4,000 years ago, when Native Americans first discovered these limestone labyrinths. They ventured deep into the earth, mining gypsum and mirabolite for trade and ceremonial purposes. Archaeological evidence shows they traveled incredible distances underground. Some passages reach in depths of over 300 feet below the surface. But that's where the conventional narrative starts to unravel. In 1935, a team of spelunkers made a discovery that was quickly hushed up by park authorities. Deep within a previously unexplored section, they found what appeared to be artificially carved chambers, complete with smooth walls that showed clear tool marks. These weren't natural cave formations. Someone had deliberately excavated these spaces. The walls displayed symbols that didn't match any known Native American petroglyphs from the region. Dr. Edmund Wilkins, a geologist who examined the site before it was sealed, described finding metal implements embedded in the cave walls. Not iron or steel, mind you, but an unknown alloy that shouldn't have existed in pre-Columbian America. His field notes, discovered decades later in a dusty university archive, mention systematic excavation techniques beyond the capabilities of Stone Age peoples. But here's where things get really interesting. Local Cherokee oral traditions speak of a race of Mooney people who lived underground before their ancestors arrived. These beings, described as pale-skinned with large luminous eyes, supposedly inhabited vast tunnel systems throughout Appalachia. Were these legends inspired by encounters with an unknown civilization that had mastered subterranean engineering? The government's involvement adds another layer of mystery. During World War II, Mammoth Cave was temporarily closed to tourists under the guise of national security concerns. Witnesses reported seeing military trucks entering the park at night, hauling unknown equipment into the cave system. What were they looking for? What did they find? Former park ranger Mike Patterson, who worked at Mammoth Cave for 30 years before his retirement in 1989, reveals some startling information in a deathbed confession. According to Patterson, there are entire sections of the cave system that appear on no official maps. These areas, which he dubbed the Forbidden Zones, contain structures that clearly predate any known Native American occupation of the region. Patterson described finding chambers with perfectly circular walls, as if they had been bored out by some kind of advanced drilling equipment. The floors of these rooms were covered with a strange glass-like substance that reflected light in unusual patterns. Most disturbing of all, he claimed to have discovered human remains in several of these chambers. But these weren't ordinary skeletons. The bones were unusually large, with skulls that measured significantly bigger than modern humans. Some showed signs of deliberate modification, with elongated craniums that suggested either artificial head binding or perhaps a naturally different bone structure altogether. When Patterson reported these findings to his superiors, he was told to forget what he had seen and transferred to a different section of the park. The Cherokee weren't the only tribe with legends about these underground dwellers. The Shawnee spoke of the Num-Marquay, a race of giants who lived beneath the earth and occasionally emerged to interact with surface dwellers. These beings were said to possess knowledge of metals and engineering that far exceeded anything known to Native American cultures of the time. Archaeological evidence suggests these stories might have some basis in reality. Throughout Kentucky, researchers have uncovered stone tools and weapons that are far too large for averages humans to wield effectively. Some of these implements weigh over 20 pounds and would require tremendous strength to use in combat or construction. The Smithsonian Institution has been curiously evasive when questioned about artifacts recovered from Mammoth Cave. Multiple Freedom of Information Act requests have been filed seeking access to their Kentucky cave collection. But researchers are consistently told that materials are either missing, damaged, or cannot be located in their vast storage facilities. This pattern of suppression extends beyond government institutions. several university archaeology departments have reported having their Mammoth Cave research grants mysteriously revoked after making unusual discoveries. Professor Sarah McKinnon from the University of Louisville had her excavation permit cancelled just days after her team uncovered what appeared to be a man-made metal door deep within one of the cave's restricted sections. McKinnon's preliminary examination of the door revealed construction techniques that shouldn't have existed in ancient America. The metal showed no signs of corrosion despite being underground for what appeared to be thousands of years. Most intriguingly, the door was sealed from the inside, suggesting that whoever built it intended to keep something in rather than keeping intruders out. The cave system's connection to other mysterious underground networks across Kentucky cannot be ignored. Locals report finding similar artificial chambers and tunnels throughout the region, many of which seem to connect to the main Mammoth Cave system. These discoveries suggest a vast underground civilization that may have spanned much of the southeastern United States. Recent ground-penetrating radar surveys conducted by independent researchers have revealed an extensive network of void spaces beneath Cookie's landscape. These hollow areas follow geometric patterns that appear too regular to be natural cave formations. The survey data indicates that many of these underground spaces are connected by tunnel systems that stretch for hundreds of miles. What purpose did this underground network serve? Some researchers theorize it was a vast transportation system, allowing an ancient civilization to move goods and people across great distances without being detected by surface dwellers. Others suggest it may have been a refuge system designed to protect a population from some kind of catastrophe or threat. The technology required to construct such an extensive underground network would have been considerable. We're talking about precise excavation techniques, ventilation systems, and structural engineering that rivals modern capabilities. Yet, according to conventional archaeology, the people living in this region thousands of years ago barely had metal tools, let alone the knowledge to undertake such massive construction projects. Local mining operations have occasionally broken through into sections of this underground network, leading to hurried cover-ups and the immediate sealing of access points. Coal miners working in eastern Kentucky have reported finding chambers that clearly weren't natural formations, complete with workstone walls and artificial ventilation shafts. One mining foreman, who requested anonymity, described breaking through a coal seam only to discover a circular chamber approximately 30 feet in diameter. The walls were lined with cut stone blocks, fitted together with incredible precision. In the center of the chamber stood what appeared to be an altar or ceremonial platform, carved from a single piece of granite. Before the mining company could properly investigate the discovery, corporate headquarters ordered the chamber to be sealed with concrete and all records of its existence to be destroyed. The foreman was required to sign a non-disclosure agreement and received a substantial bonus for his cooperation and silence. These kinds of discoveries raise uncomfortable questions about the official timeline of American history. If an advanced civilization was indeed living beneath Kentucky thousands of years ago, why has this information been suppressed? What other secrets lie hidden in the vast network of caves and tunnels that honeycomb the region? The Cherokee legends speak of a great war that drove the Mooney people deeper underground, eventually forcing them to seal themselves away from the surface world. Could these stories be historical accounts rather than mere mythology? Did some catastrophic event force an advanced civilization to abandon the surface and retreat to their underground cities? Climate data from the period shows evidence of significant environmental changes, including extended droughts and possible volcanic activity that could have made surface living extremely difficult. Perhaps the underground network served as a survival strategy, allowing a civilization to weather environmental disasters that would have devastated surface dwellers. The mystery deepens when we consider the sophistication of the cave system's design. Modern caverns have noted that many passages maintain consistent temperatures year-round, suggesting some form of climate control system. Air circulation patterns indicate the presence of engineered ventilation networks that efficiently move fresh air throughout the complex. How did ancient peoples, supposedly using only stone tools, manage to create such an advanced underground infrastructure? The precision of the excavation work and the complexity of the ventilation systems suggest knowledge of engineering principles that weren't supposed to exist in pre-Columbian America. Chapter 2. The Aduna Giants of Kentucky. Scattered across Cookie's landscape are thousands of burial mounds, silent sentinels that mark the final resting places of a mysterious people known as the Aduna culture. But these aren't ordinary graves. They're the tombs of giants, and the secrets buried within them have been systematically hidden from public view for over a century. In 1883, the Smithsonian Institution's Bureau of Ethnology began a systematic excavation of Cookie's ancient mounds. What they discovered should have rewritten American history. Instead, it was quietly buried in the institution's vast storage facilities, never to be seen by the public again. The official reports describe finding human remains of unusual proportions, but the true scope of these discoveries was far more dramatic. Private correspondence between field researchers reveals the excavation of complete skeletons, measuring between 7 and 9 feet in height, with some specimens reaching lengths of over 10 feet. Dr. Lucien Carr, who supervised many of these early excavations, wrote to a colleague about finding skulls with brain capacities nearly twice that of modern humans. These weren't cases of gigantism or pathological conditions. The bone structure was proportional and showed no signs of disease or deformity. They appeared to represent an entirely different human subspecies. The Wycliffe Mounds in western Kentucky yielded some of the most spectacular finds. Local newspaper accounts from the 1930s described the discovery of burial chambers containing multiple giant skeletons arranged in elaborate ceremonial positions. One particularly intriguing discovery was a burial chamber containing what appeared to be a family group, 2 adult giants, and 3 smaller individuals that were still considerably larger than modern humans. The metal analysis revealed a composition that doesn't match any known alloys from the prehistoric period. The material contained traces of elements that would have been extremely difficult to obtain and work with using primitive smelting techniques. How did these ancient people acquire such advanced mythological knowledge? Archaeological evidence suggests the Adena giants possessed knowledge of astronomy that rivaled ancient civilizations, like the Egyptians and Babylonians. Many of their earthworks are precisely aligned with celestial events, including solstices, equinoxes, and the rising and setting points of specific stars and constellations. The Portsmouth earthworks in southern Ohio, built by the Adena culture, contains geometric patterns that accurately predict lunar eclipses for centuries into the future. This level of astronomical sophistication requires detailed observations conducted over multiple generations, suggesting a highly organized society with advanced record-keeping capabilities. But here's where the mystery deepens. Most evidence of these discoveries has systematically disappeared from public view. Museum collections that once displayed giant skeletons found them mysteriously lost or damaged beyond repair. Academic papers describing these finds were removed from library archives, and researchers who pressed for more information found their careers stalled or terminated. Dr. David Hatcher, an independent researcher who has spent decades investigating these disappearances, has compiled a list of over 400 documented giant skeleton discoveries that have vanished from the archaeological record. Many of these finds were well documented with photographs and detailed measurements. Yet somehow all physical evidence has disappeared. The suppression isn't limited to ancient remains. Modern discoveries of giant skeletons are quickly confiscated by federal authorities under various legal pretenses. Construction workers who uncover burial sites are ordered to cease operations while specialists remove all evidence, after which work is allowed to resume, as if nothing had been found. This systematic cover-up raises obvious questions. Why would the existence of an ancient giant race be considered so threatening that all evidence must be hidden? What implications would the acknowledgement of these discoveries have for our understanding of human history? One possibility is that the giant race represents a challenge to established evolutionary theory. If humans existed at this size thousands of years ago, it suggests either a separate evolutionary lineage or perhaps genetic manipulation by an unknown agency. Another theory suggests that the giants were connected to global networks of ancient civilizations that possessed advanced technology. If this were proven true, it would revolutionize our understanding of prehistoric human capabilities and raise uncomfortable questions about lost knowledge and forgotten civilizations. The Adena culture's sophisticated earthworks provide additional evidence of advanced capabilities. The Serpent Mound in Ohio, attributed to the Adena people, is a 4-mile-long effigy that can only be properly viewed from the air. How did ancient peoples design and construct such massive projects without aerial perspective? Recent LIA surveys have revealed that many Adena earthworks are far more complex than previously understood. Hidden beneath centuries of soil accumulation are geometric patterns and astronomical alignments that demonstrate mathematical precision rivaling modern engineering capabilities. The Great Circle earthworks in Newark, Ohio covers an area of nearly 4 square miles and incorporates geometric principles that weren't supposed to be known to ancient Americans. The circular and octagonal components are connected by precisely surveyed pathways that maintain perfect geometric relationships across vast distances. The burial practices associated with these earthworks also indicate a hierarchical society with significant wealth accumulation. Elite burials contain grave goods that include exotic materials from across North America, suggesting extensive trade networks and the ability to accumulate and redistribute resources on a massive scale. Some Adena burial sites contain artifacts made from materials that originated thousands of miles away: copper from the Great Lakes region, shells from the Gulf Coast, and mica from the Appalachian Mountains, all found their way into Kentucky burial mounds. This indicates either extensive trade networks or the direct control of resources across vast geographic areas. The transportation of these materials would have been a considerable undertaking using prehistoric technology. Large sheets of mica, some weighing several hundred pounds, were carried from North Carolina to Ohio River Valley burial sites. How did ancient peoples accomplish such feats without domesticated animals or wheeled vehicles? The precision craftsmanship evident in Adena artifacts also challenges conventional assumptions about prehistoric technological capabilities. Stone tools show evidence of techniques that shouldn't have been possible without metal implements, and some copper artifacts display metallurgical sophistication that rivals work from much later historical periods. Laboratory analysis of Adena copper artifacts has revealed alloy compositions that suggest controlled smelting processes and the deliberate addition of trace elements to improve material properties. This level of metallurgical knowledge implies experimental science and systematic record-keeping that contradicts the primitive image usually associated with prehistoric American cultures. The geographic distribution of Adena sites also raises intriguing questions about their civilization's extent and influence. Recent genetic analysis of well-preserved Adena remains has revealed some surprising results. DNA extracted from burial sites shows genetic markers that don't match modern Native American populations, suggesting either significant evolutionary changes over time or the presence of genetic lineages that are no longer represented in contemporary populations. The implications of these genetic findings are still being debated, but they add another layer of mystery to the Adena puzzle. If these ancient people were genetically distinct from later Native American populations, what happened to their bloodline? Did they migrate elsewhere, intermarry with other groups, or simply disappear from the historical record? Environmental evidence suggests that the Adena culture thrived during a period of optimal climate conditions that allowed for population growth and cultural development. The transition from the Adena to the later Hopewell culture appears to have been gradual, rather than abrupt, suggesting cultural evolution rather than conquest or catastrophic collapse. However, the giant skeletal remains seem to disappear from the archaeological record during this transition, raising questions about what happened to this particular population subset. Chapter 3. The Lost Cherokee Settlements. The official Cherokee narrative speaks of their gradual migration southward from the Great Lakes region over many centuries. However, archaeological evidence from eastern Kentucky tells a different story, one of established settlements that were suddenly and mysteriously abandoned, leaving behind only scattered clues about their former inhabitants. In 1975, construction crews working on a highway expansion project near Donnell Boone National Forest made an accidental discovery that would challenge everything historians thought they knew about Cherokee presence in Kentucky. Hidden beneath layers of accumulated soil and vegetation, they uncovered the remains of a substantial settlement that showed no signs of gradual abandonment. The site contained dozens of house foundations, arranged in a circular pattern around a central plaza, indicating a planned community rather than a random collection of dwellings. But what made this discovery truly unusual was the apparent speed with which the settlement had been evacuated. Personal belongings, including pottery, tools, and weapons, were left behind as if the inhabitants had fled in haste. Dr. Rebecca Millstone, an archaeologist who was called in to examine the site before it was destroyed by continued construction, described finding evidence of deliberate concealment. The Cherokee had apparently covered their buildings with earth and vegetation, creating artificial hills that would hide the settlement from casual observation. This wasn't the behavior of people gradually relocating to better territory. It was the action of a community trying to hide all evidence of their existence from someone or something they feared. But what could have prompted such drastic measures? Cherokee oral traditions preserved among elder tribal members speak of a time when their people lived in fear of the fire beings, entities that emerged from underground caverns and posed a terrible threat to surface dwellers. These stories describe urgent evacuations and the systematic hiding of settlements. To avoid detection by these mysterious adversaries, the timeline of these legends corresponds closely with the archaeological evidence from the hidden settlement sites. Radiocarbon dating suggests that multiple Cherokee communities in eastern Kentucky were abandoned simultaneously around 800 CE, well before any known conflicts with other Native American tribes or environmental disasters that might have forced such widespread evacuation. What makes these discoveries even more intriguing is the sophisticated engineering evident in the concealment efforts. The Cherokee didn't simply abandon their settlements. They transformed them into camouflaged earthworks that would be virtually invisible to anyone who didn't know exactly what to look for. Ground-penetrating radar surveys of eastern Kentucky have revealed dozens of similar hidden sites scattered throughout the region. These artificial hills, which local residents had always assumed were natural formations, actually concealed the remains of substantial Cherokee settlements that were deliberately buried centuries ago. The pattern of concealment is remarkably consistent across different sites, suggesting a coordinated effort rather than individual community decisions. Someone with significant authority within Cherokee society ordered these widespread evacuations and concealment operations. But no historical records exist to explain who made these decisions or why they were necessary. Recent excavations at several hidden sites have uncovered artifacts that challenge conventional understanding of Cherokee technological capabilities. Stone tools show evidence of precision work that approaches industrial quality, and pottery fragments display decorative techniques that weren't supposed to exist in pre-Columbian America. Most puzzling of all are the metal artifacts found at these sites. Cherokee culture is traditionally associated with stone and wood tools, with limited metallurgy consisting mainly of simple copper work. However, the hidden settlements contain iron implements and weapons that display sophisticated forging techniques. Laboratory analysis of these metal artifacts has revealed alloy compositions that don't match European materials from the contact period. The iron contains trace elements and shows processing characteristics that suggest a completely different source and manufacturing tradition than anything associated with European colonization. How did Cherokee communities in eastern Kentucky acquire advanced metallurgical knowledge centuries before European contact? The traditional narrative suggests that Native American ironwork was introduced by European traders, but the evidence from hidden settlements predates European arrival by several centuries. One possibility is that the Cherokee had contact with other advanced civilizations that possess superior metallurgical knowledge. The presence of artifacts from distant regions suggests extensive trade networks that might have facilitated technology transfer across vast geographic areas. Another theory proposes that the Cherokee inherited their advanced technologies from earlier cultures that had inhabited the region. Perhaps the hidden settlements were built on top of even older sites that contained technological knowledge preserved from previous civilizations. The Cherokee legends about fire beings take on new significance when considered alongside the physical evidence from hidden settlements. These stories describe entities that possessed advanced weapons and tools that could cut through stone like water and strike down enemies from great distances. Could these legends be historical accounts of encounters with a technologically superior civilization? The systematic concealment of Cherokee settlements suggests they were hiding from someone with capabilities that far exceeded their own, despite their apparent technological sophistication. This connection between hidden settlements and cave systems align with other mysterious aspects of Cookie's ancient history. The Cherokee apparently understood that something dangerous lurked in the underground networks that honeycombed the region. They took extraordinary measures to avoid detection by whatever inhabited those subterranean realms. The sudden abandonment of multiple settlements suggests that whatever threat the Cherokee were hiding from eventually became too dangerous to avoid through concealment alone. Was this migration actually a retreat from some kind of threat that had emerged from Cookie's underground cave systems? The Cherokee oral traditions certainly suggest that their ancestors fled from entities that they could not fight using conventional weapons or tactics. The sophisticated concealment techniques employed by the Cherokee also raised questions about their true technological capabilities. Creating artificial hills that could hide entire settlements for centuries required advanced understanding of engineering, drainage, and erosion control. Modern attempts to recreate Cherokee concealment techniques using traditional tools and methods have proven surprisingly difficult. The precision required to create stable artificial hills while preserving the hidden structures beneath requires careful calculation of soil properties, drainage patterns, and long-term settling characteristics. The Cherokee engineers who designed these concealment systems clearly understood principles of soil mechanics and hydrology that weren't supposed to be known to prehistoric American cultures. The work demonstrates practical application of scientific knowledge that rivals modern engineering capabilities. Perhaps most intriguingly, some of the hidden Cherokee settlements show evidence of connection to the broader underground tunnel networks that exist throughout Kentucky. Several sites contain artificially enlarged natural caves that appear to have been used as escape routes or emergency shelters. The Cherokee apparently maintained detailed knowledge of underground geography that has since been lost. Their ability to create settlements with secret connections to cave systems implies generations of exploration and mapping that produced comprehensive understanding of subterranean Kentucky. This hidden knowledge may explain why Cherokee guides were so valuable to early European explorers. They possessed information about underground resources, safe passage routes, and potential dangers that could mean the difference between successful exploration and disaster. The systematic destruction of evidence from hidden Cherokee settlements has unfortunately eliminated many clues that might have helped solve these mysteries. Construction projects, mining operations, and development activities have destroyed dozens of sites before they could be properly studied. What remains suggests that Cherokee civilization in Kentucky was far more complex and technologically advanced than conventional history acknowledges. The hidden settlements represent just one aspect of a sophisticated culture that possessed knowledge and capabilities that have been systematically overlooked or suppressed. Chapter 6. The Pine Mountain Underground Facilities. Deep beneath Pine Mountain, in southeastern Kentucky, lies a network of installations that officially don't exist. These underground facilities, hidden within the region's extensive cave systems, have been the subject of speculation and investigation for decades. But what exactly is being concealed beneath Cookie's Mountains? And why does the government go to such extraordinary lengths to maintain secrecy about these operations? The first documented evidence of unusual underground activity in the Pine Mountain region dates back to the 1940s, when local residents began reporting strange lights, unexplained vibrations, and the movement of unmarked vehicles through remote mountain areas during nighttime hours. Initially dismissed as wartime paranoia, these reports continued long after World War II ended, suggesting ongoing operations of considerable scope and secrecy. Coal miners working in the region have provided the most credible accounts of these underground installations. Their testimonies describe breaking through mine walls, only to discover artificially excavated tunnels that clearly weren't part of natural cave systems or mining operations. These passages displayed precision engineering that far exceeded anything associated with conventional mining techniques. James Mitchell, a coal miner who worked in the Pine Mountain region for over 30 years, before his retirement in 1998, described accidentally breaking through into what he called a government tunnel while following a coal seam in 1974. According to Mitchell, the tunnel was perfectly circular, approximately 12 feet in diameter, and lined with a smooth material that didn't match any mining construction he had ever seen. More unsettling still was Mitchell's description of the tunnel's apparent depth and extent. Air currents indicated that the passage extended for considerable distances in multiple directions, creating a network that dwarfed the coal mine where he was working. The engineering required to create such extensive underground excavations would have been enormous, yet no public records exist of any such construction projects. When Mitchell reported his discovery to mine supervisors, he was told to seal the opening and never mention what he had found. Within days, a team of personnel claiming to represent federal mine safety inspectors arrived at the site and ordered all workers to vacate the area while they conducted routine safety evaluations. The mining operation was permanently shut down shortly thereafter, with the company citing geological instabilities that made continued extraction too dangerous. However, local residents reported seeing unmarked vehicles and construction equipment in the area for months afterwards, suggesting that the site remained active for purposes unrelated to coal mining. Similar incidents have been reported throughout the Pine Mountain region, creating a pattern of accidental discoveries, followed by immediate security responses and permanent closure of mining operations. The consistency of these reports across different mine sites and time periods suggests a coordinated effort to conceal extensive underground installations. The geological characteristics of Pine Mountain make it an ideal location for covert underground facilities. The region's limestone bedrock provides stable excavation conditions, while the extensive natural cave systems offer camouflage for artificial construction. The remote mountain terrain provides natural security barriers that limit casual observation and access. Ground-penetrating radar surveys conducted by independent researchers have detected massive void spaces beneath Pine Mountain that appeared too regular and extensive to be natural cave formations. These underground areas follow geometric patterns that indicate artificial excavation, with tunnel networks extending for miles in multiple directions. The electromagnetic signatures detected during these surveys suggest the presence of significant electrical installations within the underground network. Power consumption patterns indicate operations that require substantial energy inputs, possibly including manufacturing or research activities that would generate considerable electromagnetic emissions. Seismic monitoring stations in the region have recorded unusual vibration patterns that don't match natural geological processes or conventional mining activities. These signatures suggest the operation of heavy machinery in underground locations, possibly including excavation equipment, manufacturing systems, or transportation infrastructure. Local utility records provide additional evidence of unusual power consumption in remote areas of Pine Mountain, where no legitimate industrial operations are known to exist. Electrical usage patterns show dramatic increases during specific time periods, suggesting the operation of energy-intensive equipment on coordinated schedules. The power requirements indicated by these consumption patterns would be sufficient to operate significant manufacturing facilities or research installations. The electrical loads are far too large to be explained by conventional mining operations or rural residential usage. Yet no public facilities exist that could account for such massive power consumption. Transportation infrastructure around Pine Mountain also shows signs of covert activity. Remote access roads that appear on no public maps have been constructed to locations where no legitimate facilities are supposed to exist. These roads show signs of heavy use by large vehicles, including wear patterns consistent with the movement of substantial equipment and materials. Air traffic patterns over Pine Mountain reveal additional evidence of covert operations. Military and civilian aircraft regularly fly predetermined routes that avoid certain areas of the mountain region, suggesting the existence of restricted airspace that isn't reflected in published aviation charts. Pilot reports describe unusual electromagnetic interference while flying over specific areas of Pine Mountain, including communication disruptions and instrument anomalies that suggest the presence of powerful electronic systems operating in underground locations. The strategic significance of Pine Mountain's location also supports theories about covert government installations. The region provides central access to major population centers throughout the eastern United States, while remaining sufficiently remote to maintain operational security. Underground facilities in this location would be ideally positioned to serve as command centers, research installations, or manufacturing sites that could support government operations throughout the region, while remaining hidden from public view and potential adversaries. Personnel movements in the Pine Mountain region follow patterns consistent with shift-based industrial operations. Local residents report seeing the same individuals repeatedly traveling to remote locations at regular times, suggesting coordinated work schedules rather than random visits. Supply deliveries to remote areas of Pine Mountain involve specialized vehicles and equipment that don't match the requirements of legitimate industries known to operate in the region. These deliveries often occur during nighttime hours and involve materials and equipment that are covered or otherwise concealed from observation. The volume and frequency of these supply operations suggests substantial ongoing activities that require continuous material inputs. The specialized nature of some equipment indicates technical operations that go beyond conventional mining or manufacturing activities. Communication infrastructure in the Pine Mountain region includes facilities that appear disproportionate to the area's official communication needs. Microwave relay stations, satellite communication arrays, and fiber optic installations provide communication capabilities that far exceed what would be necessary for rural, residential, and business requirements. Environmental monitoring around Pine Mountain has detected unusual chemical signatures that don't match natural geological processes or known industrial activities in the region. These chemical traces suggest manufacturing or research operations that involve exotic materials not typically used in conventional industries. Air quality measurements show periodic emissions of compounds that indicate high-temperature processing or specialized manufacturing activities. These emissions occur on regular schedules that correspond with other evidence of coordinated underground operations. Water quality monitoring has revealed similar chemical signatures in groundwater systems that connect to the Pine Mountain region. These contamination patterns suggest industrial processes that involve chemicals and materials not typically associated with mining or conventional manufacturing. The distribution of these chemical signatures indicates point sources that correspond to locations where other evidence suggests the presence of underground installations. The correlation between chemical contamination and suspected facility locations provides additional confirmation of covert operations. Geological surveys have identified artificial modifications to natural cave systems throughout Pine Mountain that indicate extensive human activity beyond what would be necessary for conventional mining or exploration purposes. These modifications include enlarged passages, artificial ventilation systems, and structural reinforcements that suggest permanent installations. The engineering sophistication evident in these cave modifications indicates access to specialized equipment and expertise that wouldn't be available to conventional mining operations. The precision and scale of the work suggests government or military involvement in creating and maintaining these underground installations. Security incidents involving unauthorized personnel who have attempted to explore suspected installation sites have resulted in immediate responses by unidentified security forces. These responses demonstrate active protection measures that go far beyond what would be necessary for conventional industrial security. Chapter 4. The Swift Silver Mines Legend. In the annals of Kentucky folklore, few stories have captured imaginations quite like the legend of John Swift's lost silver mines. But what if this tale of buried treasure is actually a cover story for something far more extraordinary? Recent investigations suggest that Swift may have stumbled upon evidence of ancient mining operations that predate European colonization by thousands of years. The traditional story begins in the 1760s when John Swift, a British sea captain turned inland explorer, allegedly discovered rich silver deposits in the mountains of eastern Kentucky. According to his journal, which has become one of America's most famous treasure maps, Swift and his companions operated secret mines for several years before circumstances forced them to seal the entrances and hide all evidence of their activities. The mystery deepens when we examine Swift's descriptions of the mining sites themselves. His journal mentions finding evidence of previous mining activity, including ancient tools of unknown design and symbols carved in stone by peoples unknown. Swift apparently discovered mines that had been worked by others long before his arrival. Cherokee oral traditions speak of sacred mountains, where star people once extracted tears of the moon, a poetic description that could easily refer to silver mining. These legends describe mining operations conducted by beings who possessed tools that could cut through solid rock, as easily as a knife cuts through butter. The Cherokee avoided these mountains, considering them cursed or dangerous places, where spirits of the ancient miners still dwelt. They warned early European explorers about the risks of disturbing these sites, but their warnings were dismissed as primitive superstition rather than historical knowledge. Swift's journal contains several references to finding human remains in the mines, including skeletons that were of unusual size and different construction than ordinary men. These descriptions match other accounts of giant skeletons found throughout Kentucky, suggesting that Swift may have discovered burial sites associated with the mysterious ancient mining civilization. The precision of Swift's geographical descriptions has enabled modern researchers to locate many of the sites mentioned in his journal. However, when these locations are excavated, they consistently reveal evidence of mining activity that predates Swift's alleged operations by centuries or millennia. Ground-penetrating radar surveys of Swift mine locations have revealed extensive underground tunnel networks that dwarf anything described in the journal. These subterranean passages extend for miles in multiple directions, connecting various mining sites in a coordinated network that would have required massive organizational efforts to construct. The engineering sophistication evident in these tunnel systems raises serious questions about who built them and when. The passages maintain consistent grades for drainage, include ventilation shafts at regular intervals, and demonstrate understanding of structural engineering principles that shouldn't have existed in prehistoric America. Laboratory analysis of, or samples from Swift sites, has revealed another puzzling aspect of these mining operations. The silver deposits show evidence of selective extraction techniques that remove the highest grade, or while leaving lower quality material untouched. This level of metallurgical discrimination requires advanced knowledge of all chemistry and processing techniques. Colonial-era miners typically extracted everything that contained any silver content using primitive separation methods that recovered metal from even low-grade ores. The carved symbols that Swift described finding at various mine entrances have been documented by modern investigators. But these markings don't match any known Native American petroglyphs or European symbols from the colonial period. The carvings appear to represent a completely unknown symbolic system that may have been used by the ancient mining civilization. Dr. Sarah Chen, an archaeologist who has studied these symbols, noted their similarity to markings found at ancient mining sites in other parts of the world. Some researchers theorized that the Swift legend was deliberately created to provide a cover story for ongoing investigations of ancient mining sites by attributing the mines to a colonial-era prospector. Authorities could explain away any discoveries while discouraging serious archaeological investigation of the sites. This theory gains credibility when we consider that Swift's journal was never published during his lifetime and only surfaced decades after his alleged mining operations had ended. The timing of the journal's appearance coincides suspiciously with early archaeological investigations that were beginning to uncover evidence of prehistoric mining in Kentucky. The journal itself shows signs of multiple authors and editorial revisions that suggest it was compiled from various sources, rather than written as a contemporary account. Handwriting analysis indicates that different sections were written by different people, possibly over extended periods of time. Government interest in swift mine locations has been consistently high throughout American history. Military expeditions were sent to investigate several sites during the 19th century, and federal agencies have maintained active research programs focused on swift locations well into the modern era. The official explanation for this government interest centers on the potential economic value of undiscovered silver deposits. But the level of resources devoted to swift research seems disproportionate to the likely financial returns. Why would federal agencies spend decades investigating what should be relatively minor mining sites? One possibility is that the swift mines are connected to larger mysteries surrounding Cookie's ancient history. If these sites represent evidence of prehistoric advanced civilizations, they would be of tremendous archaeological and anthropological significance, potentially revolutionizing our understanding of ancient American history. The pattern of secrecy surrounding swift research supports this theory. Many government investigations of swift sites are classified, and researchers are required to sign non-disclosure agreements that prevent them from discussing their findings publicly. This level of security seems excessive for simple treasure hunting expeditions. Local residents living near swift mine locations report unusual government activity at these sites, including the use of sophisticated drilling and excavation equipment that goes far beyond what would be necessary for conventional archaeological research. These operations often occur at night and are conducted by personnel who refuse to identify themselves or explain their activities. The connection between swift sites and Cookie's broader network of mysterious underground installations also raises intriguing questions. Several swift mine locations are situated near areas where government agencies have established restricted access zones for unexplained reasons. Some researchers speculate that the ancient mining civilization may have left behind more than just empty excavations. If these prehistoric miners possessed advanced technology, some of their equipment or installations might still exist in sealed sections of the mine networks. The systematic sealing of swift mine entrances may not have been done by colonial miners protecting their claims, but rather by modern authorities attempting to restrict access to sites that contain evidence of advanced prehistoric technology. The precision with which these entrances have been sealed suggests the use of modern explosives and engineering techniques. Recent attempts by independent researchers to explore swift sites have been consistently thwarted by legal restrictions, property access issues, and equipment failures that seem statistically improbable. It's almost as if someone is actively working to prevent serious investigation of these locations. The swift legend has become so embedded in Kentucky folklore that it effectively masks the true significance of these ancient mining sites. Treasure hunters searching for colonial-era silver are unlikely to recognize or report evidence of prehistoric advanced civilizations, allowing authorities to monitor these locations while maintaining the fiction that they're simply investigating historical mining claims. Chapter 5. The Wycliffe Indian Mounds Mystery. On the banks of the Mississippi River in western Kentucky stands a complex of ancient earthworks that challenges everything we think we know about prehistoric Native American civilizations. The Wycliffe Indian Mounds represent over 1,000 years of continuous occupation, but recent discoveries suggest that the site's history extends much deeper into antiquity than anyone previously imagined. The official archaeological timeline places the beginning of major construction at Wycliffe around 1100 CE, when Mississippian culture peoples established a thriving ceremonial and trading center at this strategic river location. However, ground-penetrating radar surveys conducted in recent years have revealed much older structures buried beneath the visible mounds, suggesting that this site has been significant for thousands of years. What makes Wycliffe particularly intriguing isn't just its age. It's the evidence of technological sophistication that shouldn't have existed in prehistoric America. The mound builders demonstrated understanding of engineering principles that enabled them to create stable earthworks that have survived centuries of flooding, earthquakes, and human interference. The largest mound at Wycliffe rises nearly 60 feet above the surrounding floodplain and contains an estimated 300,000 cubwi of carefully selected and placed earth. Creating such a massive structure required not only enormous labor resources, but also sophisticated understanding of soil mechanics, drainage, and structural stability. Modern engineering analysis of the mound construction reveals that the builders used different types of soil in specific layers to create a composite structure that would resist settling and erosion. This wasn't random earth moving. It was precision engineering that incorporated advanced knowledge of materials science. But here's where the Wycliffe mystery becomes truly puzzling. Excavations have uncovered artifacts and construction techniques that don't fit the conventional timeline of Native American technological development. Buried deep within the oldest sections of the mounds, archaeologists have found evidence of metallurgy, astronomy, and engineering that predates similar developments in other cultures by centuries. Dr. Elizabeth Hartwell, who supervised excavations at Wycliffe during the 1980s, described finding copper artifacts that showed evidence of advanced alloying techniques. The metal contained trace elements that improved its strength and corrosion resistance, suggesting knowledge of metallurgy that wasn't supposed to exist in prehistoric America. More intriguing still were the precision stone tools found in association with these copper artifacts. The implements showed machining marks that could only have been created using metal cutting tools, yet they were found in contexts that predate any known metalwork traditions in the region. The astronomical alignments built into the Wycliffe complex demonstrate knowledge that rivals ancient observatories in Egypt and Mesopotamia. The main mound is precisely oriented to mark the summer solstice sunrise, while smaller earthworks track the movements of Venus and other celestial bodies with remarkable accuracy. Creating such precise astronomical alignments required generations of careful observation and record-keeping. The mound builders would have needed to track celestial movements over multiple decades to achieve the precision evident in their earthworks. This suggests a stable, literate civilization with sophisticated mathematical capabilities. Recent archaeological investigations have uncovered what appears to be an ancient observatory platform built into the summit of the main mound. Stone markers arranged in geometric patterns track the rising and setting positions of various stars and constellations, creating a three-dimensional star map that could predict celestial events years in advance. The mathematical precision required to create such an observatory is staggering. The stone markers are positioned with tolerances measured in inches across distances of hundreds of feet, achieving accuracy that would challenge modern surveying equipment. Laboratory analysis of the stone markers has revealed another puzzle. Many are made from materials that don't occur naturally in Kentucky. Granite from North Carolina, sandstone from Colorado, and basalt from unknown sources were all transported to Wycliffe and incorporated into the astronomical installations. The logistics of transporting multi-ton stone blocks across thousands of miles would have been a monumental undertaking using prehistoric technology. Yet the builders of Wycliffe somehow managed to acquire and precisely position these exotic materials as integral components of their observatory system. The purpose of such elaborate astronomical installations remains unclear. Were the mound builders simply creating calendars for agricultural purposes, or did their observations serve more complex functions? The precision of their work suggests applications that went far beyond basic seasonal tracking. Some researchers theorized that the Wycliffe Observatory was part of a larger network of astronomical sites that enabled long-distance communication and coordination. Evidence for such a network exists throughout the Ohio and Mississippi River valleys, where dozens of mound complexes show similar astronomical alignments and construction techniques. The consistency of these alignments suggests either direct communication between widely separated sites or shared knowledge derived from a common source. The irrigation network included underground channels that distributed water from the Mississippi River to elevated growing areas throughout the site. These waterways were lined with fitted stone blocks and included control structures that regulated water flow with remarkable precision. Creating such an elaborate irrigation system required detailed understanding of hydrology, soil science, and agricultural engineering. The mound builders had to calculate water pressure, flow rates, and drainage patterns across a complex three-dimensional landscape while ensuring long-term structural stability. The agricultural terraces built into the hillsides around Wycliffe demonstrate equally impressive engineering capabilities. These stepped growing platforms prevented soil erosion while maximizing the use of available farmland. Techniques that wouldn't be widely adopted in European agriculture for centuries. The sophistication of Wycliffe's agricultural system suggests that the site supported populations much larger than conventional estimates. If the mound builders could efficiently farm the entire river valley using advanced techniques, they might have sustained communities numbering in the tens of thousands. Such large populations would have required complex social organization, specialized labor roles, and sophisticated systems for resource distribution and conflict resolution. The evidence from Wycliffe suggests a civilization that was far more advanced than the simple chiefdoms typically described in archaeological literature. The sudden abandonment of Wycliffe around 1350 CE adds another layer of mystery to the site's history. Archaeological evidence indicates that the complex was evacuated rapidly, with personal belongings and valuable items left behind, as if the inhabitants had fled in panic. What could have prompted such an abrupt abandonment of a site that had been continuously occupied for centuries? Environmental factors like flooding or drought don't explain the suddenness of the evacuation. And there's no evidence of warfare or conquest that might have driven the inhabitants away. Cherokee oral traditions speak of a time when the earth shook and the sky rained fire. Descriptions that could refer to seismic activity, or perhaps even meteorite impacts. Geological evidence from the period shows signs of significant seismic events that might have made the river valley uninhabitable. However, the pattern of abandonment at Wycliffe matches similar evacuations at other mound sites throughout the Ohio and Mississippi valleys. The synchronized timing of these abandonments suggests a coordinated response to some widespread threat rather than localized environmental problems. Could the mound builders have received advanced warning of some catastrophic event through their astronomical observations? Their sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics might have enabled them to predict cosmic events that posed threats to their civilization. Recent studies of impact craters and geological formations suggest that North America experienced several significant cosmic events during the period when the mound sites were abandoned. Comet impacts or large meteorite strikes could have created environmental disruptions that made the river valleys uninhabitable. The mound builder astronomical expertise would have made them uniquely qualified to recognize approaching cosmic threats and organize evacuation responses. Their network of observatory sites could have provided early warning systems that enabled coordinated evacuations across vast geographic areas. The precision of their astronomical predictions suggests that the mound builders possessed knowledge of orbital mechanics and celestial dynamics that enabled them to calculate the paths of comets and asteroids with remarkable accuracy. Such capabilities would have given them significant advantages in preparing for cosmic threats. This cultural discontinuity suggests that the mound builders didn't simply relocate to other areas. They disappeared from the historical record entirely. Either their civilization was completely destroyed by whatever catastrophe prompted the evacuation, or they retreated to hidden locations where they could avoid detection. The technological knowledge demonstrated at Wycliffe also vanished during the abandonment period. Later, Native American cultures in the region showed no evidence of the advanced engineering, astronomy, or metallurgy that had been practiced by the mound builders. How does an entire technological tradition disappear so completely? The sophistication of mound builder knowledge suggests that it required formal education systems and specialized training to maintain. The sudden loss of these capabilities indicates that the educational infrastructure was destroyed, along with the civilization itself. Some researchers theorize that the mound builders possessed written records that were destroyed during the abandonment period. The mathematical precision of their astronomical work would have required detailed calculations and measurements that could only be preserved through written documentation. The absence of any written records from mound builder sites has always puzzled archaeologists, especially given the clear evidence of mathematical and scientific knowledge that would have benefited from permanent recording. Perhaps these records existed but were deliberately destroyed to prevent their knowledge from falling into the wrong hands. The mystery of Wycliffe extends beyond the archaeological evidence to include modern attempts to study and preserve the site. Several research projects have encountered unexplained equipment failures, funding cuts, and bureaucratic obstacles that have prevented comprehensive investigation of the most intriguing discoveries. Dr. Hartwell's research was terminated abruptly in 1987 when her team made what she described as a discovery that changed everything. We thought we knew about prehistoric America. The nature of this discovery was never revealed publicly, and all documentation from her final excavation season was confiscated by federal authorities. Since then, access to the most sensitive areas of Wycliffe has been severely restricted, with researchers required to sign extensive non-disclosure agreements that prevent them from discussing their findings. This level of secrecy seems disproportionate for a site that is supposedly just another prehistoric Native American settlement. The pattern of suppression at Wycliffe mirrors similar restrictions imposed at other mysterious archaeological sites throughout Kentucky. Someone is clearly working to prevent public knowledge of discoveries that challenge conventional understanding of American prehistoric civilizations. Chapter 7. The Strange Stones of McCreary County. In the remote forests of McCreary County, Kentucky, scattered among the ridges and hollows of the Daniel Boone National Forest, lie dozens of massive stone structures that defy conventional archaeological explanation. These megalithic formations, constructed from precisely fitted blocks, weighing several tons each, represent engineering capabilities that shouldn't have existed in prehistoric America. The first documented discovery of these stone structures was made in 1889 by a geological survey team, mapping the region for potential mineral resources. Their report, filed with the United States Geological Survey, described finding walls of work, stone fitted together with remarkable precision, extending for considerable distances through heavily forested terrain. What made these discoveries particularly puzzling was their apparent age and the sophistication of their construction. The stones showed signs of having been shaped using advanced cutting techniques, with perfectly flat surfaces and precise angles that indicated the use of sophisticated tools. Yet, radiocarbon dating of organic material found in association with the structures suggested they were built thousands of years before any known civilization in the region possessed such technological capabilities. Dr. Marcus Steinberg, a geologist who investigated several of these sites during the early 20th century, described finding stone blocks that had been cut and fitted with tolerances measured in fractions of inches. The precision of this work rivaled the construction techniques used in ancient Egyptian and Mesopotamian monuments. Yet, it was found in the remote mountains of Kentucky. The stones themselves present another mystery. Petrographic analysis has revealed that many of the blocks were quarried from locations hundreds of miles away from where they were found. Granite from North Carolina, limestone from Tennessee, and sandstone from Ohio were all transported to McCreary County and incorporated into these mysterious structures. The logistics of moving multi-ton stone blocks across such distances would have been staggering. Using prehistoric technology, the builders would have needed to transport materials across mountains, rivers, and forests without the benefit of wheeled vehicles or large domesticated animals. How did they accomplish such massive construction projects? Recent LIO surveys of the Daniel Boone National Forest have revealed that these stone structures are far more extensive than previously realized. Hidden beneath decades of forest growth are networks of stone walls, platforms, and enclosures that extend across thousands of acres of mountainous terrain. The geometric patterns formed by these structures suggest they weren't randomly placed, but were instead components of a larger coordinated construction project. The walls follow precise compass bearings and create geometric shapes that demonstrate understanding of advanced surveying and engineering principles. Some of the stone formations appear to be astronomical observatories, with specific alignments that track the movements of celestial bodies. Stone markers positioned at key points within the structures create sightlines that accurately predict solstices, equinoxes, and the rising and setting positions of various stars and constellations. The mathematical precision required to create such astronomical alignments across miles of rugged terrain would have required sophisticated surveying techniques and detailed knowledge of celestial mechanics. The builders possessed understanding of geometry, trigonometry, and astronomy that rivals ancient civilizations like the Greeks and Egyptians. Carbon dating of charcoal and other organic materials found in association with the stone structures has produced dates ranging from 2,000 to 4,000 years old. This places their construction during periods when Native American cultures in the region were supposedly using only primitive stone tools and living in small nomadic bands. The scale and sophistication of the McCreary County structures suggests a much more advanced civilization than conventional archaeology acknowledges for prehistoric Kentucky. The builders possessed organizational capabilities that enabled them to coordinate massive construction projects across vast geographic areas. Local Cherokee legends speak of a race of stone builders who inhabited the mountains before their ancestors arrived in the region. These stories describe beings who possessed the ability to make stone flow like water and could shape massive blocks with ease using tools that were unlike anything known to Cherokee culture. The Cherokee avoided the areas where these stone structures were located, considering them sacred sites that were protected by the spirits of the ancient builders. They warned early European settlers about the dangers of disturbing these locations, but their warnings were generally dismissed as primitive superstition. Archaeological excavations at several stone structure sites have uncovered artifacts that challenge conventional understanding of prehistoric technological capabilities. Stone tools found in association with the megaliths show evidence of precision shaping that requires metal implements. Yet they were found in contexts that predate known metallurgy in the region. The tool marks on these implements indicate cutting and shaping techniques that shouldn't have been possible using Stone Age technology. Some artifacts show evidence of machine-like precision that suggests the use of advanced manufacturing techniques rather than handcrafting. Metallurgical analysis of trace elements found on stone cutting surfaces has revealed the presence of alloys that don't match any known prehistoric metalworking traditions. These chemical signatures suggest the use of cutting tools made from materials that weren't supposed to exist in ancient America. The composition of these mystery alloys includes elements that would have been extremely difficult to obtain and process using primitive technology. The presence of such advanced materials suggests either contact with more technologically sophisticated civilizations, or the existence of advanced mythological knowledge that has been lost to history. The underground chambers show evidence of artificial excavation and construction that required sophisticated engineering capabilities. Drainage systems, ventilation shafts, and structural supports indicate permanent installations that were designed to function as underground facilities rather than simple storage areas. Several of these underground chambers contain stone platforms and installations that appear to have served specialized functions. The precision of their construction and their geometric relationships to surface structures suggest they were integral components of whatever activities took place at these sites. The purpose of the McCreary County stone structures remains one of Kentucky's greatest archaeological mysteries. Their astronomical alignments suggest they may have served as observatories or ceremonial centers, but their scale and sophistication indicate functions that went far beyond simple calendar keeping or religious activities. Some researchers theorized that the structures were components of a communication network that enabled long-distance coordination between widely separated sites. The geometric patterns and astronomical alignments could have served as reference points for navigation or synchronized timing across vast geographic areas. The strategic locations of the stone structures, positioned on prominent ridges and mountaintops throughout the region, support theories about their use as observation posts or communication centers. These elevated positions provide commanding views of surrounding terrain and would have been ideal for signaling or surveillance activities. Modern attempts to study the McCreary County structures have been hampered by access restrictions and bureaucratic obstacles that seem designed to discourage serious archaeological investigation. Several research projects have been terminated without explanation, and areas containing the most intriguing structures have been declared off-limits to researchers. The U.S. Forest Service has classified many of the stone structure sites as environmentally sensitive areas that require special permits for access. These permits are rarely granted to independent researchers, and those who do gain access are required to sign agreements that restrict their ability to publish findings or discuss their discoveries publicly. This pattern of suppression suggests that the true significance of the McCreary County structures is considered sensitive information that must be kept from public knowledge. The level of security and secrecy surrounding these archaeological sites seems disproportionate unless they contain evidence that challenges fundamental assumptions about American prehistory. The implications of acknowledging the true age and sophistication of the McCreary County structures would be profound. If prehistoric civilizations in Kentucky possessed advanced engineering capabilities thousands of years ago, it would necessitate a complete revision of our understanding of Native American technological development. Such revelations would also raise uncomfortable questions about what other evidence of advanced prehistoric civilizations has been suppressed or ignored by mainstream archaeology. The McCreary County structures may represent just one example of a much broader pattern of hidden knowledge about America's ancient past. The systematic concealment of evidence from sites like McCreary County suggests a coordinated effort to maintain established historical narratives rather than acknowledge discoveries that contradict conventional theories. This suppression serves the interests of institutions and individuals whose careers are built on maintaining existing paradigms. However, the truth about Cookie's mysterious stone structures continues to emerge through the efforts of independent researchers and local investigators who refuse to be intimidated by official discouragements. Their work reveals a prehistoric Kentucky that was far more advanced and mysterious than conventional history acknowledges.